Hi everyone, my name is Andrey and I'm product manager of PyCharm and DataSpell at JetBrains. Very excited to be here. Thanks for having me. And today going to talk about developer tools and in particular about Jupyter Notebooks and JetBrains DataSpell. So what's JetBrains DataSpell? This is a new IDE. Some of you might have heard of it already, some not, and that's why I'm very excited. It is a new IDE which combines two different other developer tools such as Jupyter Notebooks and PyCharm into one IDE, which is built and designed specifically for data scientists that are involved in exploratory data analysis and prototyping ML models. Right. DataSpell was initially announced in March earlier this year. And as under private beta, and then we've invited gradually small groups of people to try it and share their feedback with us. We've collected a lot of feedback, and since then, every month we keep on releasing new updates, new EP builds where we try to address the feedback, they fix the issues found by the users and also add what people ask us to in terms of features. And last month we've made the beta public for everyone and invited who've been waiting in line, which is a super great news. So now anyone who is interested in DataSpell can go to the website and without any registration, just download the build, give it a try, and then join the community also on Slack and share the feedback. Right, and so what the agenda for this presentation? There'll be two parts. First is a little bit maybe slightly more boring. It's going to be talking, and I'll gonna tell you the story behind DataSpell, how we came to the decision to build a separate IDE, why a new IDE, how is it going to be different, and all of that. And in the second part of the presentation, which I'll try to make a little bit longer than the first one, I'll try to stop talking and we'll show you DataSpell in action, and we'll see how it works in action. Right, so where do I start? So yeah, it's not a secret for anyone here in this conference, Python is a #1 language for data science. And according to one of the latest Kaggle surveys published, I believe last month, 1 out of 3 data scientists actually use PyCharm for working with Python code, which is a huge number. And here at JetBrains, we really excited about that data science actually use PyCharm. But what's even more interesting is that the same Kaggle survey actually tells that while PyCharm is used by 1 out of 3 data scientists, among other tools like also VS Code and other IDs, same data scientists actually use Jupyter Notebooks as twice more often. Basically, 2 out of 3 data scientists actually use Jupyter Notebooks. And over recent years, the users of PyCharm asked us for quite a long time to add support for Jupyter Notebooks in PyCharm. And following that, all that requests, we've actually done that some time ago, a long time ago, actually. And what has changed since then? On one hand, we've received a lot of complaints from data scientists who actually are in love with Jupyter Notebooks, reaching out to us and telling that the existing support in PyCharm for Jupyter Notebooks is inadequately not enough, and they asked for a lot more. Secondly, of course, now we see in the statistics that the adoption of Jupyter Notebooks has only grown, and that made us start to think about it more seriously. And a year and a half ago, our team sat together and decided to rethink our approach to providing data science tools within PyCharm and IDE in general. And what we came to, in terms of our decision and how we're going to do that, I mean, it took quite a lot of efforts to realize, and it was shocking to realize how different the workflow between data scientists and developers. And when you come out of data science background, it's not shocking for you. It's quite obvious. Like you even appreciate some of the practices that developers have, and you try to integrate them into your data science workflow. However, if you come from development and you start see how data science actually do what they do, it might be very shocking, and it might take significant effort from you to get used to this, to the ways. And PyCharm has always been designed as an IDE for developers in mind, and all the workflows are optimized for development. So it took us for quite a while to try to look at this from a different angle. That's how DataSpell was born, and we decided to focus on the interactivity, which is very important, we believe, for data science. So if you come to think like, what is the difference between data scientists and developers? When you are a developer and when you write your code, most of the time you read your code and you write your code, and then you also run your application, and then you can work with the application. But what happens when you do data science, you have to explore data and you have prototype your models. You actually work with the data, not with code so much. And how do you work with data? You run queries, you see the output, you work with output data, like be it tables or data frames or visualizations. So interactivity is the key, and that's one main principle for us now on to focus when we come up with developer tools for data scientists. And the second one is, of course, distinguishing the workflows between data science and developers and trying not to mix them together. So that's how DataSpell started. And even though DataSpell is not released yet, it's already used by thousands of data scientists. We have active Slack channel where people come and share their feedback about the product, and we try to listen to that feedback. And with every release, we try to make it even better. Right.
Hi. Sorry to interrupt. Are you showing your ID? Are you showing the ID? Because we can still see the slide.
Thanks. That's exactly the moment when I stop showing that slide and start showing the ID. Thanks. So here we go. Probably it's even better to see in action rather than hear many times about it. Here we go. Here's the Toolbox app, which well, anyone can use to work with JetBrains IDEA. We have quite many here. And now here's a new element, which is item, which is called DataSpell. That's exactly the idea I want to show you today. So when you launch it the first time, what you'll notice the first time you do that is the welcome screen. Typically it appears only once, and what it is for is helping you set up your environment. And if you, for example, have your Conda installed locally, it will detect it right away. If you want to change it to some other environment, you can also choose between base environment and other Conda environments. And of course, you can use virtualenv and other types of interpreters. So if you're using the base Conda, you don't really have to do anything. You just click launch, and then the IDE opens. And that's how the DataSpell IDE looks like. What you may notice is it looks pretty similar to PyCharm in a way. Of course, if you tried PyCharm before, we have tool windows, we have main menu, we have main toolbar, and the editor area. What is different is that while PyCharm offers you to work with individual projects, DataSpell by default prompts you to work with the workspaces where you can attach multiple projects and work with them and switch between them as you'd like to. And basically you can attach local folders and work with the files, and also can connect DataSpell to remote Jupyter Notebook servers. So how do you do that? So here, instead of like in PyCharm, you have a project tool window, we have a workspace tool window. And here we can use these buttons to either attach local folders or connect the IDE to a remote instance of Jupyter Notebook server or Jupyter Hub or Jupyter Lab for that matter. All you need to do is to paste a URL here, and then if the remote server uses certain type of authentication like password, token, it will prompt you to enter it, and then it will attach the content of the remote server here, and you'll be able to see the files, browse them, and open them, edit, and run them. For this particular demo, we're going to use the local project which I've prepared, but please expect that both remote and local environments work pretty much similar way. Right, so in this demo, I'm going to open this Titanic sample project from Kaggle, and it's a very simple one, but it allows us to see DataSpell in action. So what we have here is some data, a CSV file, a simple Python script, and a notebook. So let's start with the data. Right. When we open a CSV file, we actually are able to see it as a table. It detects headers. We can interactively work with the data and sort it and filter as we want. And if we need, we also can switch to the raw format and work with it from here. However, right now we are not interested in working with raw data using like this user interface, but actually interested in notebooks. So let's go straight ahead and open a notebook from this sample project. Right. So yeah, let me open it. So when you open a notebook in DataSpell, what you notice is that notebooks actually look pretty similar way as you expect them to look when you open them in a browser. What's interesting here is that the comment mode actually works as exactly as in the web-based notebooks. So you can use the arrow keys to navigate quickly over the cells. You can switch from the comment mode to the editor mode, for example, and if this is a markdown cell, you'll be able to see the syntax highlighting and all that. It supports all their standard markdown format, and of course it supports also the LaTeX expression, which is good. This is a new feature we've just added it in the last build which we released yesterday. And when you run the cell, it basically renders the markdown nicely right in place. And same way you can switch to the editor mode for the editors like code cells, and in these cells you can expect all the coding assistance that you would normally have for Python scripts in PyCharm. So let's just quickly see what we can do here. So it provides code completion for the variables, and also now train CSV. Then we also use may use some basic refactorings, and when we run the cell, it shows the output right below the cell, right in line, which might be great. And in case this is a data frame, it allows us to interactively work with this preview of a data frame, and we can scroll, we can sort it's by columns, and if we'd like to work with it more conveniently, we can also click this open a new tab, and then it opens as a separate editor, and then we can continue working with the data frame in a more convenient manner. So when we are done, we just close it and get back to our notebook. When, for example, we run a cell which produces a chart, well, you can expect that it supports different libraries for visualization and outputs. Well, charts, it supports Matplotlib and Plotly and Bokeh. So here's the static plots, but it also supports Plotly, Bokeh, Altair, and other JavaScript-based charts, including notebook widgets. Right. So what else is interesting? Of course, if you click on the left-hand side of a code cell, you'll be able to put a breakpoint, and then if you run the cell in a debug mode, of course, it will stop at the breakpoint, and you'll be able to step over the code or step into the code. And if you're using your some of your functions from other module, you'll be able to step in, or same for libraries that you use. And as you step over the code, you can see the current state of the variables, and you can also, for example, enter arbitrary expressions sorry, when you evaluate these expressions, you'll be able to see the result. And then if you click, for example, here, it will open the data frame, which is an output of your expression, which you've typed here, and you'll be able to work with it as a table, basically, right? So what else? As an alternative to the debugger, sometimes you might want to evaluate certain expression without without printing this into the output of the cell. So you can do that by using this Jupyter console. This is also a new feature which we've added just in the last update. So basically, we've just connected to the currently opened kernel with console, and then you can, in this console, you can evaluate, type any expressions and see the outputs. It supports plots and data frames, and this might be a good option as to when you need to evaluate something really quickly. Right. Lastly, if you have headers in your Markdown in your notebook, you can also open the structure tool window, which detects all the headers that you use in Markdown and let you navigate over them with one click, which is also might be quite helpful. So if you typically work, for example, with Jupyter Lab, please do expect to have all the features of Jupyter Lab here provided by the IDE, and probably even more. I think that that's the notebooks. And how about Python scripts? Let us open a Python script here. Right. So what we see here is typical editor of the IDE. We also see that the IDE detects this notation when we split the parts of your scripts into separate cells, which makes it possible to run different cells and treat them as quite close to how Jupyter Notebooks treat cells, right? We also have a toolbar here, and this is another difference between PyCharm and DataSpell, that the scripting experience of DataSpell is tuned toward interactivity, and by default, when you run any part of the script, it runs it in an interactive scientific mode. So let's just run this first cell and then see how it works. As you see, it run it in this console, and we see the console right here. And we can either continue running other parts of that script, or we can also evaluate certain expression here. Now, if we run this second cell, what we'll see is that the output appears in the console, and we see pretty much same functionality which is provided with Jupyter Notebooks. What is also interesting here is that you don't actually have to use all these print statements to output the data. Even if you are not in Notebook and you are in a Python script, you can, for example, put certain expression at the end of that virtual cell, and it will treat it as in notebooks. It will output the thing in the console. So now if we, for example, run another cell which produces plots, it will work pretty much the same way as in Jupyter Notebooks. So basically, like the user experience for Python script replicates all the functionality which is provided by Jupyter Notebooks. And if you find, for example, scripts a bit more convenient, then it's a way to go, and you can do pretty much anything that Jupyter Notebooks allows you to do. Right. It's worth, of course, mentioning that you can use the debugger and it will stop at the breakpoints. But also, what is interesting is that you can not only run the whole script at once or run individual cells, but you can actually run code line by line. For example, here's an action which allows you to run your code one line by line, and then it basically shows the output in the console, which might be quite handy sometimes when you want to really like debug your code without using debugger in a more interactive fashion. And especially if you, for example, come from RStudio background, and if you are used to RStudio, you might find this familiar, because in RStudio that's also used pretty much often. Right. That is it. Of course, it's also worth to say that still you are able to run the entire script, and you can even run that script with additional parameters. So if you, for example, have certain scripts that for example, acquires or processes data or does some other batch job, you'll be able to make this configuration and run it when you need it. Right. So that's mostly it about the Python scripts. And lastly, we've now mentioned RStudio. DataSpell actually supports not only Python, but also supports R. And if you have R installed on your machine, DataSpell, it will detect it automatically, and you'll be able to create R scripts and edit them all with all that coding assistance, and it's provided not just for R script, but also for R Markdown. So it's where the experience replicates some of the experience of Jupyter Notebooks. So it might be a good option if you primarily use Python, but also sometimes need to work with some R projects. So if you use DataSpell, then you can use one tool and have pretty similar experience for both R and Python. Right. So having said that, I would just would like to recap some of the most important points from this presentation. So number one, DataSpell is a new IDE which combines the functionality of Jupyter Notebooks and PyCharm, and it takes the best parts of it and tailors into their and makes tailored experience specifically for data scientists. It supports local environments and remote environments. And the support for local environments is also going to be available with PyCharm, which actually makes it possible to have a choice between PyCharm and DataSpell. And how do you choose what do you use? So a rule of thumb is the following. If your primary activities development, software development, then PyCharm is the way to go. And in those moments when you need to do some data exploration or prototype some ML model, then you'll be able to rely on the built-in functionality, which is the same between DataSpell and PyCharm. And if your primary activity is data science and all you do is exploring data and then prototyping ML models, then DataSpell is the best tool. And of course, in those moments when you are equally involved in both, then you have a choice between both tools, and you can use PyCharm for software development and DataSpell for data science. The other thing is, DataSpell is not released yet, but the EAP is public, and anybody can go and download it. The EAP is free to use. DataSpell is planned as a commercial IDE with pretty same license model as PyCharm Professional, and we plan to release it also as long as the feedback continues to be great. And we welcome you to give a try to DataSpell now that it's an EAP form, and share your feedback with us. And that's mostly it. So we still have 3 minutes, and I'll be very happy to look at some of the questions if we have them. Let me stop sharing the screen and see the Q&A session. Right, so the first question, happy PyCharm professional user here, why didn't you just improve the PyCharm notebook experience? I assume the question is like, why instead of making a separate IDE, not just work on their notebook support in PyCharm? So there are several reasons. Like number one, nobody stops us from improving the notebook support in PyCharm, which is exactly what we've done. And with the release, with the upcoming release of PyCharm, the notebook support in PyCharm going to be exactly same as what DataSpell offers. However, still we'd like to work towards we'd like to, in addition to making data science experience great in PyCharm, we'd like also to focus on those folks that have less of a developer background, and we'd like to improve the overall workflow by offering a much simpler tool, which is more interactive than PyCharm. And that's the ambitious goal we have. And we do rely on feedback. So think that data science intersects a lot with development. However, still there are a big part of the community which is not really involved in software development, but involved a lot in data analysis or data exploration, or simply in prototyping models and not so much into productizing models. So we really want not just improve the data science experience without development tool, but also see how far we can go with offering a data science purely tool. And looking forward to your thoughts on it as well. And in case you, for example, don't see a sense in it, I would be very happy to discuss. So I see that we have very little time. Maybe just last question. Let me randomly pick up the last question. Is there a Vim plugin for PyCharm? Yes, the Vim plugin is there. There might be some still bugs remaining, but we work towards fixing all of them by the release date, and Vim plugin will be working there as well. Right. So apologize that I cannot answer all of the questions. I would be very happy to chat in Slack. So let's just move all the questions to the Slack channel and discuss them there. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for your attention, for your time. I wish you a great day ahead, and take care.